It's a pleasure.
Yeah, pleasure.
Yeah, it's
How do
good
you
to
know
meet
my
you.
name?
You told me.
Oh, I did. Yeah, sorry. Okay. INFJ Brian, right? You're INFJ?
Yeah, I believe I am.
Nice. That's cool. How does it feel to be INFJ? Are you going to save the world?
Uh, I plan to. Yeah, I just have no idea how to do it, but I think this is one step towards it.
Nice. Nice. What does it feel like to be a feeler? What is that like? What does that even feel like? Do you always like think about your feelings?
Hmm. It means, I guess, for me, it's like when it comes to decision making, we're always also in tune with how it will emotionally impact other people, and so compared to like logical thinkers, they just kind of come up with a solution, but they may not necessarily factor in how others may feel about it. Whereas for like an F type, it's like how would my solution also make others feel, right? So it's like if you want to save money, right? One way is just like cutting down on, let's say, your morning coffee, but then at the same time that has emotional consequences to it if you're not aware of like the person's habits. And so yeah, that's how I kind of would explain being a feeler.
So feeling functions are pretty much just for interacting with people. They're for getting close to people. Then would you agree or no?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think it's like decision making, emotional decision making. Yeah.
So like, so like feeler is just people oriented is pretty much more, or you could also say that with extroverted thinkers too.
Mm, it's more about, sorry, could you repeat the last one about people?
Yeah, because extroverted thinking and extroverted feeling are kind of like tribe oriented, right? So, but feeling in general is more people oriented, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's I'd say it's about also how the person personally feels about a decision when it comes to whether or not they agree with it. It's
Mm.
also like the person's own personal beliefs in which may be affected by their background, like their childhood, how they grew up, what kind of like situations that they've been in, and so I guess that affects their decisions, that affects how they think, it affects basically almost everything they do on a subconscious level in terms of their behavior.
Mm. Okay. So, do you think feeling is kind of underappreciated or overappreciated in society? Overvalued or undervalued? Or maybe neither or both?
In the current society that we have today, I'd say it's definitely undervalued. Um, I would say that logical thinking and emotional feeling, they both have their place in society, but I would prioritize, if I had to prioritize one of them, I would prioritize emotional feeling simply because humans are driven by emotion, right? It's natural as a species, right? We get offended, we get angry, we have emotions, right? To simply say that logic trumps over emotion, which is what our society currently, that's the kind of perspective that society has today. Um, I think that is a bit flawed since we are humans, we have emotions, and so it would be wrong to disregard those emotions when it comes to interacting with others.
Yeah, totally agree. What is the difference between sympathy and empathy?
Based on what I know, sympathy and empathy, it's like one is like understanding how someone will feel versus actually experiencing the same emotions as that person. So like I think sympathy is like I understand you because I have experienced something similar. Whereas empathy is like I understand you because I can put myself in your shoes, even though I've never actually been in such a situation. Something like that.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So just talking about just feeling like I recently started like looking into chakras. Do you know chakras?
Yeah, I do.
Are
Like
you into that, by the way?
like spirituality. Yeah, definitely,
Yeah. So I
definitely.
just started like looking into um like just pretty much like I don't know if it was Manipura or sacral chakra, but I just started looking into how the stomach, or like, I don't know, like the stomach area is kind of like the seat of emotions. It was kind of recent that I actually, like I kind of like tapped into my emotions, and I got like a stomach ache when I was feeling overwhelmed with emotions. But I realized that this is kind of comes natural to people though, right? Like, I think butterflies in the stomach or something they call it.
So from what I know, the chakra that's located in the stomach is the second chakra, and so that's associated with guilt and
Guilt.
yeah, guilt, shame, those kind of like emotions. And so whenever you're in a situation which may trigger those kind of like emotions, then you'll feel it in the stomach area.
Yeah, I actually haven't like really felt too many emotions in the past. Like, it was kind of strange, like feeling like I just felt like I wanted to puke and stuff, right? But it turns out that this is kind of like a common experience for people. Like, is this where emotions are, in the stomach?
Emotion, I would say the negative, like repressed emotions,
Yeah.
they reside in the stomach. And so that feeling of like wanting to kind of like puke, it's like you may have been repressing emotions for like a really long time. So like, let's say you encounter some kind of trauma in your childhood, but then as a child, you're powerless, right? Like physically, and because you're small, and so you're kind of powerless in that situation. As you grow up and you start to mature, then these feelings that were repressed when you're a kid, they start to come up again,
Yeah.
and your body just kind of like wants to get rid of it. So that's why you have that like feeling as though you want to like puke, you want to like cleanse it out of your system.
Yeah, and I started looking into emotions, and they're pretty much like unconscious values, right? And I started thinking about how that relates to MBTI, and emotions are pretty much related to extroverted feeling. Would you agree? Like, for example, someone that has extroverted feeling in their stack, they're more likely to, just express their emotions, right? As opposed to just expressing their feelings, which is processed emotions. Would you agree with that?
I would say it. So extroverted feeling is like if they have E and F in their type, right?
Yeah, so extroverted feeling. So pretty much all the feelers are able to use extroverted feeling well. It's just that ENFPs, INFPs, ISFPs, and ESFPs would prioritize introverted feeling, but they can still use extroverted feeling adequately. Um, and so, yeah, I was just kind of making the association between extroverted feeling and emotions, and introverted feeling and feelings, or processed emotions.
The way I understand it, based on MBTI, is FE, which is like extroverted feeling, versus FI, which is introverted. Um, Depending on how mature you are emotionally, you will consider the feelings of those around you, or you will be selfish and simply do what you think is right. And
Mm,
so, someone who is more selfish will not think about the emotions of others. So, for example, let's say you're at a party, there's 10 people, and there's like enough food to feed, like, I don't know, 8 people, right? In that situation, you would probably share, and
yeah.
so you wouldn't eat as much. But then someone who's like less emotionally developed, they may just like eat all the food and be like, it's like it's just about me, right? Like they don't think about others, and so that's.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be kind of annoying, bro. I'd be like, bro, what are you doing? Would you
I've
call them
encountered.
out?
Huh? Sorry.
Would you call them out?
Uh, I would probably be a little bit pissed, yeah. But then I'd try to like, from my perspective as an INFJ, I'd be like, okay, well, it's already happened. Like, let's just come up with a solution. Maybe just order more food or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so yeah, as an INFJ, like, what do you think about most of the time, right? You're obviously using introverted intuition. Like, what do you think introverted intuition is about? Because I think a lot of people see it as kind of mystical, and I think there is some truth to that, because if you look into like the past and stuff like that, people with introverted intuition were kind of like the shamans, the gurus, the sages, the prophets, right? The visionaries, stuff like that. And so, yeah, would you agree with that, or what distinction do you make with introverted intuition?
To this day, I still don't really have a solid answer just because of how difficult it is to explain introverted intuition. Um, I would say it's something that is currently beyond human comprehension, just because uh, it's something that cannot physically be perceived. So, for example, if you
Yeah.
meet someone, right, you have a good feeling or a bad feeling when you first meet them, right? It's like I like this person or I don't. But then if I ask you why, you won't be able to come up with an answer, right? It will just be like, well, I just had a feeling or something about them threw me off. But then if I ask you to explain like in physical, concrete terms what that something is, you wouldn't be able to do it. So I guess that's how I understand NI. It's like there is something else that we as humans are able to perceive. It's just that we don't know how to explain it yet in a way that people understand.
So I guess for me, I've always thought about introverted intuition as the most abstract function. I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. For example, we kind of have the way that I kind of see it is kind of like, like a plane, right? So we have reality, which is extroverted sensing and extroverted intuition, right? So extroverted sensing is kind of what we is observable reality, just what exists, what is. And then extroverted intuition is all the possibilities, everything that could be, right? So I see these two as the planes of existence, or sorry, the planes of reality, you know? And I see kind of like they're kind of like the plane, right? It's kind of like a surf, like I don't know, like a line, I don't know, like a surface or something. And then below that we have introverted sensing, which to me it seems like the most concrete function, right? Because it's kind of taking the extroverted sensing and it's subjectifying it. So it kind of takes things in like third perspective, right? Because it's like looking at it from a subjective standpoint. So that's why we see it as the past, because it's taking a look at the present, but it's because it's subjective. It's now the past, because the past doesn't exist, right? All that exists is the present, and the past is just the present that has already moved, right? But it's just in relation to the person that has observed it, which is the introverted sensing. And so, having said that, because introverted sensing is the most concrete function, I would categorize introverted intuition as the most abstract function, because it's not only it because it's taking the extroverted intuition and it's subjectifying it, right? Subjective, and now it's taking it a step further, and now taking it into the future, right? Because a future is just the individual or the subjective interpretation of possibility, or what will be.
Yeah, I think NI definitely has to do with like predicting future outcomes and possibilities. Uh, I would say it's either the past or it's focused either on the past or the future. It has difficulty kind of staying in the present simply because I guess, well, for me, it's like the present is kind of boring in some aspects.
Yeah.
I would like to like come up with more exciting possibilities for where my life will be or how society will evolve. Like those sort of things that interest me.
Where do you think society will evolve? I can go first if you want, or you can go first. Whatever makes you feel more comfortable.
Yeah, yeah, I can go first. Um, I'd say with the direction that society is currently going in, we will most likely achieve a balance um, between all the conflicts that are currently like plaguing our society right now. So like, there's a lot of duality in our society today, where there's a lot of arguments between things like the rich and the poor, men versus women. It's just like a lot of these like issues that could be resolved simply by sitting down and trying to understand the other person's perspective. And so I'd say the biggest, if you were to take all the issues that like currently plague society and you were to dumb it down, I'd say it's just um, conflict between, let's say, like divine masculine versus divine feminine, which is like logic versus emotion. And so if us as a species, if we're able to kind of come to a balance between the two and understand that each one has its place, neither one is better than the other, and it's all about, you know, using the best tool for the job, society would be a lot better. It'd be a lot more harmonious. We'd have a lot less problems in society, and everyone would be able to live, like, I guess, much more happily, which, as we've seen in the past years, we've actually been slowly moving towards, right? So, like, for example, we're having this conversation right now online, even though we've never met, but, you know, many years ago, this would probably have been impossible, but today it's like, you know, it's ordinary. So, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I think like a lot of harmony. So before I say this, I should probably mention that you know, extroverted feeling is my blind spot. So I'm kind of reluctant about it. I kind of see it in a kind of a dubious negative light. I'm guessing extroverted thinking is kind of like that for you.
So like the way, how do I see extroverted thinking?
Yeah, because for me, I kind of just I see like kind of like the issues with extroverted feeling, right? But that's because that's my blind spot, right? And everybody kind of sees this with their blind spot. So I'm guessing you also see kind of the errors with extroverted thinking.
I would say when it comes to extroverted thinking, I make, I will do like the thinking on behalf of other people, but it may actually be based on my emotions. And so I may not be consciously, I may not consciously realize that I'm doing the feeling for other people, whereas I think I'm
Mm,
doing the thinking for them. It's like I may
okay,
present them. Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah. I was gonna say, like I may try to present to them a solution. Like let's say if they have an issue and they ask me for advice, I may present them with a solution, but then that may not be a rational solution. It may be an emotional solution to like cater to their emotions.
Mhm. One thing I kind of think about, but this is my blind spot pretty much. I kind of just like, I can kind of, I kind of see it in a negative light. Sorry, I'm missing the word. I really want to use the word, but I don't know what it is. Anyways, so something about like harmony is kind of like if you just keep trying to keep the harmony, don't you think that at some point you're kind of just prolonging the inevitable and actually just keeping the problem for a longer time by not like going for the solution like it may hurt someone's feelings, but it would help them out in the end, right? Like let's say someone is overweight, right? What I see with society is that we're trying to use all these like positive words that try not to offend people. But I think like the issue with this is that there's a reason why people are like get offended is and it's kind of good because if people want to like say that being obese is okay and everything like that, yeah, it spares the person's feelings. But at the end of the day, that person is not really, not really putting in the effort to change because it's something that's controllable. Like weight is controllable, and so I think like for most parts, there's people that have some issues in that area, but you know, if you just if what I see is that if they're just being nice and stuff, like they're not really helping that person out because that person is just going to continue doing this thing and it's just hurting their health and stuff like that, but with the extroverted thinking or just thinking in general, you would just tell that person, hey, you're fat, you need to work, you need to actually lose some weight, and yeah, that may hurt their feelings, right? But at the end of the day, if they 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 can work towards something that a better healthier life because it may hurt their feeling now, but it's helping them to push forward into something better. What's your opinion on that? Because I kind of see like the extroverted feeling kind of like it helps with like feeling, but it helps with everybody feel good, but it kind of hurts people like in a way, in my opinion. Like maybe there's got to be a balance, but I have extroverted feeling blind spots, so sometimes I need help with seeing the extroverted feeling in a positive light.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you that like prolonging an issue will lead to like a more negative outcome. Um, I would say the issue, since for someone, let's say, who has like extroverted feeling as a blind spot, from my perspective, you can help someone, but you can also cater to their emotions. So like you don't necessarily have to say, hey, you're fat, right? You could just say something like, it would be better for your health if you slim down, right? You would feel better, you would be healthier, you would look better, you would live a much more, congruent lifestyle. And so you can kind of phrase things, which is, I guess, where the F comes in. It's just simply about how do you phrase what you want to say in like a non-offensive manner? How do you phrase it in a way in which the person who is receiving your words, they will accept them without feeling offended?
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. Um, Maybe, yeah, maybe that is better, but sometimes I feel like, negative emotions do exist for a reason, right? Because it's kind of like telling you you need to change something. Like, for example, when I was depressed, I just felt like a whole bunch of negative emotions and feelings, right? But if I hadn't felt that, I wouldn't have like changed into something better. I wouldn't have like, you know what I'm saying? So I do agree with I need to or people that are thinkers do need to find a way to phrase things better. But I'm just kind of answering the question if if we're trying too hard to cover up negative emotions, you know?
I do agree with you that society has a tendency to cover up negative emotions. Um, the biggest issue I see with this is people aren't willing to accept that they're capable of doing bad things um, given similar circumstances. It's like, for example, they may look at someone and be like, oh, this person, robbed from a store. They're like a criminal. They're horrid. But then they're like unwilling to look at themselves and be like, okay, well, maybe the guy was like, starving or he had to feed his kids, right? And that's why it drove him to do something that desperate.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, people who can't like put themselves in the shoes of others or like even like, yeah, they have a difficulty with like understanding that people are driven by external circumstances. It's not that they are bad people, it's that they're forced into that situation.
That's so true. Yeah, that's so true. I recently just started thinking about, like why there's scam callers and stuff like that. Why people like take advantage of others. Just in general. Like I guess it's kind of like like there's different states of consciousness, right? And a lot of people are in like the lower states. So those people are kind of in survival state, right?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'd say like the lower your consciousness is, the less responsibility you will take towards how you make others feel and how you make yourself feel. So, like, the lower your consciousness is, the easier it is to differentiate yourself from everyone else. Whereas if you have a very high level of consciousness, then you can basically understand where everyone is coming from and you
Hmm.
can basically put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just thinking about INTJ and INFJ, like how do you relate to INTJs, by the way? Because for me, with INFJs, I I really like them. I think they're incredibly smart. I just I just hope that that people are able to kind of like support them because they have a lot to share with the world. And but I just feel like I just feel like um, INFJs are maybe kind of scared to really show who they really are, and that's kind of where we get to like the masks, where they say they're kind of like a social chameleon, right? Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing for INFJs to do?
Based on my personal experience, I would say the mask is an absolute necessity because the consciousness of human society has not raised to a level in which the INFJ can be authentic. And so,
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true.
if the INFJ is authentic, people will perceive it in a wrong way. And as a result, it makes the INFJ feel like no one understands them. You see this like issue with like people who have like a high level of people who have a high level of intelligence, right? So, for example, like university professors who are so engrossed in what they're doing, right? They only want to talk to other people who have a similar level of intelligence, right? In whatever field they're researching. They, it's very difficult for them to talk to an ordinary person because they're not going to understand the dynamics of like combustible physics. And so it's kind of like a similar, uh, what's that word? It's kind of like a similar issue when it comes with INFJs, in that it's very difficult for them, and INTJs as well, right? Because they're quite logically adept. It's pretty difficult for them to get along with other people, not because they're bad at social situations. It's just they don't understand.
Yeah. Sorry, I just kept looking. I'm like, why am I moving my
That's cool, by the way.
I'm like, why am I moving my left eyebrow but my right one moves? And then I'm just like, oh yeah, it's kind of flipped. Okay. I just got distracted. Do you ever get distracted like that with like the extroverted sensing? You're just like, what is going on? Did you ever
Uh, I think it's like just being present in the moment, right? It's pretty good. That's pretty cool. I can't do that. I can only do it on like one eye.
Yeah. How have you practiced being present in the moment? Like you said you don't like the present, but do you ever just like, do you ever just go like, like screw this shit, bro? Just like just do whatever you feel in the moment?
Yeah. Recently, I've been getting more into like practicing being present, just like taking more walks in nature. Um, I know as a kid, I was a lot more present. I didn't think so much about the past or the future. Um, yeah, I think it's a balance. Both is needed. Think about the future and also be in the present. Um, Achieve a good balance between the two, and then you'll be happier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you like to do with it's like more present? Oh, it's keeps bothering me. Sorry. Dang it. What do you like to do in the present moment? That
Uh,
like anything like extroverted sensing that you enjoy.
yeah. Uh, Usually, I take walks in like nature, in a park somewhere quiet. Sometimes I meditate, and recently I got an electric scooter. You can like see it in the back of the room. Yeah, you see
Yeah.
the background,
Oh,
the handle
nice. Yeah.
over there. Yeah, I just got it kind of recently, so I'll take it out like for some rides when it's like a nice day. That helps to keep me in the present, and it's really relaxing too.
Nice, nice. Yeah. What's your anagram, by the way?
I do not know. I think it's like it's either I think it's like 2-9 or something like that. I'm not. I never really got into anagram because it's the way I understand anagram is based on MBTI, and so like I never really needed to go into anagram, if that makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's kind of like it doesn't seem to fit into your introverted intuition goal, I guess, right?
yeah. Like
Yeah.
I'm familiar with anagram. It's just I'm not familiar enough to like know what each number means off the top of my head.
Yeah. What you said you're into spirituality. What kind of spirituality stuff are you in? I just started getting into numerology. Do you know numerology?
Oh yeah, I do. It's
What's
funny
your
you bring. Yeah,
Sorry, go
it's
ahead.
fun. So, yeah. It's funny you bring up numerology because just as you reached out to me to do this interview, I like browsed your YouTube page, and then it said you had 222 subscribers, and I've been seeing that number quite a lot, like popping up like a few weeks before that, and so I'm just like, okay, well, this is a very interesting coincidence. Maybe the universe is trying to tell me something. So I just went with the flow, and I said, let's do it, right? Let's move.
Synchronicity. Nice. Nice. What's your life path, by the way?
Uh, I think it's 11. 1-1.
11. Is that a life path? Let me search that up really quick. I think it
I
goes
think
up to 9, 0 to 9.
they said there are three master numbers, so there's like 11, 22, and 33.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
11 is a supercharged version of 2, so it's like, okay. Master numbers which are not better than single digit, but they possess intense energy. They can give in this world, and they realize where it can come out of price. Nice, that's pretty cool. I'll have to read about this letter later. I thought it was 0 to 9, but I'm a life path 7.
It's cool, man.
Do you know what that is?
No, too familiar with it, but I like the number 7. It's very balanced, I think.
So 7 is like called like the most spiritual number. I'm just kidding. So it's just like 7. God created this day in 7 days. 7 is a lucky number. 7 chakras, stuff like that. And it pretty much just talks about like how like my life path journey is like about like knowledge, trying to find out the truth or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I vibe with it. Like it's good shit, bro.
Yeah, man.
Do you ever
That's
just
awesome.
talk like that? You ever just like talk like, yeah, who cares, bro? Just like swag.
Uh, to myself, definitely, and with my close friends, but like to strangers, no, it's difficult. Yeah. Sometimes I'll just go off the charts and be like, yeah, man, what's up?
Off the
I'll just
charts.
just
Yeah,
gonna whatever's on my brain.
yeah, for sure. What other stuff do you read for spirituality?
Uh, I usually get so like what's interesting is that I don't necessarily have to go out of my way to pursue spirituality. It just so I like to read a lot of like science fiction books, and then I find in the themes of those books, I will actually discover spiritual answers to like the questions that I may be um, discovering. So the way I think about it is like the universe has the way of bringing you what you want or what you're seeking. You don't necessarily have to go out of your way to try and find out the answer to what it is that you're seeking.
Yeah, it's guiding you. That is interesting. I feel like I may have wanted some things, right? And like I didn't get them, right? But then after that happened, like after a bad experience happened, I look back on it and I thought to myself, hey, I learned a lot from this experience, and now I know what I really want, like wants like a little bit more, clear about what I really want. And I just like think like I just think to myself, this is really weird how I ended up winding up in like a situation that's like was really fit for me. It's really strange.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I'd say the journey that took me here was actually started when I dropped out of university. So I was basically in my 5th year. I had 6 months to go before graduation, and then it was the beginning of like the new semester, right? So it's like January 2018 or something. And I was sitting in class, I remember, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like something inside me was like, even though I have 6 months left before graduation, even though I spent 5 years like in this in this institution, I should just logically I should just graduate, get my degree. But
yeah.
then for some reason I was like, I can't do this, so I dropped out and I pursued my own interests.
Yeah, that's strange. I literally just, I mean, you saw my YouTube channel. I literally just dropped out like a while ago, and I just like, I'm not even scared. I just like if I think about it logically, it makes no sense, but I just wasn't feeling it anymore. I guess I could like dive into deeper, but I just sometimes I find it kind of funny, talking like just like I don't know, just like really like just straight up, just like I wasn't feeling it, bro. But
Yeah,
but to be more precise, I just felt like there was something guiding me, and I just like I don't know, I just felt something.
yeah,
Really,
definitely.
yeah. Um, and I just started meditating, and I've been meditating for a while, and I see like this like light flicker every once in a while. Do you get that too?
Mm, sometimes I do. I think that's just your third eye like opening up, right? So it's like located kind of like in the center of your vision, like there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you're meditating, if you start seeing like lights flickering, it's just kind of like I think it's your third eye opening up and allowing you to perceive more of this world and other dimensions.
Sometimes I get scared because I get this feeling like that I might get possessed or something, right? So I can't really fully let go yet, but because I don't really know like if I can get possessed, so I get scared. But yeah, I'm not sure because I haven't really fully let go yet. But yeah, maybe I should. I don't know. I have gotten sleep paralysis like 3 times already, Like the first time I felt like I thought I was awake, and I felt like I was being dragged out of my bed. Like I couldn't move. I felt like I was being dragged out of my bed. And the second time, it was like I was having a vision, and I just like, all these sleep paralysis. It doesn't feel like I'm sleeping. I literally keep thinking I'm awake. Um, and I just started floating. I started floating, and I couldn't move. And then, and then I felt like I was being watched too. And and yeah, and another the last time that it happened was that I was starting to get pulled, but then I was able to resist it with my will, and then I was able to wake up. Have you ever had sleep paralysis before?
Yeah. Um, I I I think of it as out of body experiences. So if you don't know, that's like another very spiritual aspect. It's like have you heard of astral projection before?
Yeah, I wait. That was astral projection.
Yeah,
What? What the
kind of.
hell?
It was the way I understand it, it's like the beginning of the ability to explore other dimensions. So so basically it's like an out of body experiences. So what you felt, you said you felt as though you had sleep paralysis and you felt yourself floating out of your body. So basically what's happening is that your soul is trying to leave your body, which is normal. Um, but it's that you feel paralyzed because you are attached to your physical body, you're not attached to your soul body, and your soul body is trying to move, right? Which is why you feel that sensation of floating. But then at the same time, you're also panicking because you're like, I can't move. But that's your physical body. So then you kind of like need to relax and accept that there's like two bodies, which is your physical and your soul. And so once you become more familiar with what's going on, like, okay, I feel paralyzed, so therefore I must be in my soul body right now. And so once you realize that, you can kind of like venture further and further outward and explore more of other realities and this world as well.
Oh, that's really cool. That's exciting. So my third eye opened like maybe like 2 years ago, maybe, or 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. And what happened was that like I just I think I may have aligned my chakras or whatever. I didn't even know what chakras were. But like I literally felt like I thought I was having a stroke. I honestly thought I was having a stroke. I was actually freaking out. I was really worried, and I felt something like move. I felt like a bug moving here, right? And then I was really scared, and then I just like looked it up online and stuff, and then it said something like that's the third eye or something, and then that night I just started looking into like demons and shit like that, and then I'm just like, and then I just started like, I don't know, I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep that night. Yeah, but but after that, I kind of took that as a sign that that I was going on the right goals and stuff. So then I moved to Hamilton to do like door to door sales. It didn't work out. I actually failed pretty badly, but but I thought that was like a sign that I was getting where I wanted. But no, I mistook that as a sign. So it's kind of hard to tell what a sign is for this or that. Maybe I'll get a little bit better, but I would also go for runs, and then I felt like I felt like this strong connection with God. Like I just felt like brimming confidence, right? And I felt like I could do anything, right? And I also mistook that as a sign that I was, I was like that if I went to do door to door sales and everything, I was gonna make a lot of money and shit like that, right? Obviously it didn't work out, but but yeah, I just get these like random like spiritual occurrences. I got synchronicities a while back. I can't remember too well, but yeah, it's kind of strange. I'm kind of hoping I can look into my past life. Kind of hoping I can see my past life soon or at some point. But when I meditate, sometimes I'm just like there's no rush. I want to enjoy myself. You don't like whatever is guiding me. I just tell it like you don't need to push me there fast. I like to enjoy the journey. Just take your time. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Just like enjoy the present. There's no need to rush. Um, I would say that like whenever you get a feeling, it's like since you're sharing with me your experience about like, oh yeah, I'm gonna make a lot of money, but then it didn't turn out the way you wanted to. Um, you can kind of just attribute it to everything that happens is in your highest good. And so even though it may look bad in the situation, it's there to teach you something and help you get on to the next step. That's the way I kind of like see everything.
I think it was, a lot of pride, that I had to kind of get over. Just like thinking I was, and this is gonna sound bad, but maybe like better than other people, right? Maybe just like pride or something like that. And now the way I see it is like I don't think I'm better than anybody else. I don't even think I'm special, to be honest. I feel like anybody can do anything as long as they put their heart into it and they are passionate and they fully have faith in themselves. And now I just don't really see myself as special or like anybody else. Now I just see it as, I can achieve anything I want, but anybody else can do it too.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and that was kind of a hard thing to get over, just like the feeling of pride, that I am special. I am, something, and 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 it just kind of had me thinking like, how did I get these thoughts? How did I come upon this, right? And it just made me realize that I've been conditioned just by society just to think this way. So I just I really had to analyze, what is right, what is good, why do I think what I think, do I think what I think because these thoughts were implanted in me or because this is what I truly believe. And so I just stay away from social media. I stay away from I don't even like watching movies anymore because now I'm able to clearly see like the message that movies try to like place, like finding the one or just uh, or just like a lot of them, like even the villains, they're kind of like implanting this idea that change is bad because the villains in movies are trying to like change things, right? And so the hero is usually, and this is not an idea I came up with, I read this, right? But I would love to take credit for this, but so the hero is just like trying to preserve the status quo. And so I think that a lot of people's subconscious or unconscious, they're being implanted that the status quo is good, and change is bad, and that's why a lot of people fear change. And so I just, I stay away from, a whole bunch. I'm like really careful about what I consume because even people's emotions, like it gets into me, and I just, you know, it just, it takes a, and I like need to get it out.
Yeah, definitely. It's good to be like conscious of all the programming that's in society. There's a lot of programming. I believe the spiritual path, which is like the path that we're all on now, is just about like undoing all the programming that we've basically been conditioned to and are unconscious about, and being more like aware of like, oh, this is not actually who I am. My real person is like this, or like
Yeah.
someone who's not limited by their MBTI type, something like that.
Yeah. And what is your goal, by the way, in this life? You said you talked a little bit about it before, but like what is it that you're trying to achieve, if I may ask?
Right now, I would say I want to share my understanding of psychology, spirituality, and MBTI with people to help them understand themselves, right? So, for example, like you were just talking about how pride was one of the things that held you back as a person for the longest time. A lot of people have many emotions, many like subconscious triggers that affect their behavior and that they're not even conscious about. And so I would like to help people like on that like psychological aspect to help them analyze like why they do it, and also what events occurred that would influence them to act in that way. So, with your example, I'm gonna assume that are you an only child?
No, I have a pretty big, like I have like seven siblings.
Are you the oldest?
No, I'm the second youngest.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like
So
kind of the middle child, because the older ones are half brothers, so they didn't live with us. So I was kind of the middle child.
yeah, I was gonna mention I know one of the archetypes of like the ENTJ is that they are born into like a family with lots of siblings, and then the ENTJ feels like they must always be at the top of their performance. So like they have a lot of pride because they're like, I must be extremely good in everything I do because I need to provide for my family. And so they kind of take on the responsibilities of let's say a parent when they're just a child. And so this can like create this like persona of like pride and arrogance, and
Mm.
they themselves may not be realizing it because they're like the only thing in their mind is like I must perform well in order to um, protect my siblings, protect my family.
I think my pride came from like an inferiority complex, right? You know, I kind of just like mm, I just kind of felt like I was out of place growing up, and like the beginning of my life, I literally just went through my life just observing people, kind of wondering why do they do the things they do, you know, just kind of trying to understand humans, and kind of questioning like why do you do what you do, why are you doing that, or why does evil exist, or why do we act like this. And then there was a point that came where I was kind of tired of being like the quiet kid and stuff like that, or not having any friends, and I just decided wanted to make a change, and so I started being more outgoing and stuff like that, and just I just wanted to be a part of like society so bad. I just wanted to be a part of like everybody else. I didn't want to be, you know, behind the scenes looking at people. I wanted to be an actor, you know, an economic actor, or like an actor in the play that we call life. And so I got into that, but you know, when you get into a place where, you know, you're interacting with a whole bunch of people, you start to realize that other people are comparing themselves to you and other people, and so it's kind of like a game of comparison. And so I think that's where my pride came in, because, you know, I got so sucked into the game of that society kind of pushes us into, where I was kind of, you know, I was kind of thinking to myself that my intrinsic value or my intrinsic qualities, which made me, you know, who I am, weren't enough, because I was trying to be something that I wasn't. I was trying to be, you know, I'm an INTJ, but I was trying to be kind of like an ENTP or ESFP, right? I was trying to be what you know, kind of what society wanted. And so I think that's kind of where my inferiority complex came, because I was kind of ashamed of who I was, and just like I remember I just didn't feel comfortable talking to people about like the thoughts that came to me, like the deep stuff, right? Because, you know, it just like they would look at me and they would become uncomfortable, or they would I would make them like kind of sad, because, you know, obviously they didn't want to think about this stuff, right? So then it just made me feel kind of bad, because, you know, it made me feel out of place, and I just you know, I was trying to be something that I wasn't, because I just felt like I wasn't enough. So then that's where the inferiority complex came. And then if you feel inferior, it also comes with like a superiority complex, and that's where pride came too, right? Because I kind of like I saw other people that were just like boasting themselves, and they said that, you know, they're like, oh, I'm the shit, I'm the confident guy, or whatever, right? Which is arrogance, right? And I kind of like absorbed those thoughts into myself, and I think that's where like the pride came too, because I was part of this game, I was in this maze, I was like, you know, I had thrown myself into this arena that I didn't realize what would happen, how it would change me and stuff like that.
I definitely, I think we all struggle with like those issues, especially since we're growing up. We find that like we have to fit into society, and oftentimes it's just rediscovering who you actually are is good enough. Like there's no need to really try to change yourself to fit into someone else's desires.
Yeah. How were you growing up though? Like, were you also like observing people and stuff when you were younger?
Yeah, I had a from from what I've heard, I always kept asking why. and pissing everyone off around me, because I would always be questioning, like, why do we do things a certain way? I think for me, the point in which I changed to fit into like the mold of what society wants is like when I got yelled at because I like kept asking why. It's not about why. It's just like just follow orders and like do what you're told, right? And so for the longest time, uh, that was just kind of like the processes in which I like operated. It's only now recently that I begin like realizing that, oh, questioning things is actually a gift. It's not something to be ashamed of, which is, you know, what society kind of conditions you to be, right? It's like stop asking questions, just do what you're told, because asking questions does not get you results. Doing things is what gets you results.
Yeah, that's pretty hard. I also struggled with with people not wanting me to ask why and just telling me this is how it's done, but I would always want to ask, why are we doing this, right? What's the purpose? That was pretty hard. So you said before that your purpose on this earth is to kind of guide people.
Uh, at this present moment, I think, yeah, I think that's my purpose for now.
Yeah.
It may change. It may change in the future. Um, yeah, I'd say I'd say a person can have multiple purposes. The most important one is just to enjoy your time while you're here, above all else.
Yeah. Do you think we were destined to meet?
I'd say the universe most definitely set this up in terms of synchronicity, because the fact that I visited your page at that exact moment and saw those numbers, I just knew. I just knew that there was something.
Yeah, I found you in my recommended, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh,
I
really? That's interesting.
just scroll in my recommended. So I guess that's good for you because now you're showing up on people's recommended page.
Oh, that's good to know. But yeah, it's I'm very humbled that you reached out to me, and that this has been a amazing, amazing conversation. I'm very glad on everything that we talked about.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I get scared in the back of my mind. I'm like, I don't want to scare anybody by talking too much about like my thoughts. So I kind of put up this persona. You've probably seen it on my channel. I'm pretty boisterous and stuff on my channel. Um, but yeah, I don't want to freak people out, to be honest, by talking about stuff like kind of too deep.
Yeah, I think I think people are starting to warm up more to that in terms of like consciousness. Like a lot of the uh, the channels that are starting to like break out and become more popular, it's like those that lean towards that like that direction of just being more authentic with themselves.
Yeah, and I have noticed this too that there's been people that have tapped into that authenticity that you know that it looks because I can just kind of like see a little bit through people. So I've seen people who um I think that's kind of like the new business model is authenticity. So I see people who are not really authentic, like give out that present themselves as authentic, right? They do like that thing with their eyes where they're like kind of like eyebrows a little bit raised like this.
I never noticed that actually. It's interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah. I've been kind of looking into that, a lot of um just a lot of people are growing just trying to present themselves as authentic, and so there's this like way to present yourself as authentic where it's just like the way that your face seems, right? And and just I don't know, I haven't really gotten too much into it, but just anytime I see that, I always kind of like go, you know go away pretty much.
Red flags, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. um but Yeah, I think my purpose in life is to, because I named my channel Art of Self Mastery, and so my purpose in life is to pretty much just help people, become the best version of themselves, right? And I think that's kind of what we're doing, the INFJ and the INTJ. I, I think that introverted intuition is pretty much it's willpower, of course, but it's like your own potential, human potential. Like we're able to see like just like where human potential goes. And so, and this is gonna be, I don't know if I should say this, um, but Okay, I don't know if I should see this.
We could talk about it in private if you want.
Okay, yeah, I'll tell you in private. Um, but yeah, like I said, I think introverted intuitives like you and me, we're kind of here to guide people, right? And you know, like yeah, we're pretty much like you like we're pretty much like the same personality. Like we're introverted intuition dominance. It's just that the way that we go about it you go about it through FETI, I go about it through TEFI, you know. But we're pretty much aiming at the same goal, which is just pretty much trying to see humanity evolve, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. Um, I think everyone has the same goal, which is like um, doing what they think is the best for humanity. It's just that sometimes people get lost along the way, and then they start their original plans get corrupted. So like you see this with like a lot of dictators, right? A lot of dictators, they want to bring everyone into unity, and then in order to do that, they need to establish control, right? They must be the top dog, and they must have all the power in order to do that. But then it ends up spiraling out of control, and then a lot of people become miserable.
Yeah, yeah, and that actually got me thinking about you know, oneness and separateness. I was reading this book. I think it's called How to Love, I think, or something, like a book on like, you know, like because I want to, like if I meet a girl, I want to obviously like be able to provide a good experience, right? So I want to see how it is that, you know, a person should love. And so it was pretty much talking about how everything we do is because we get this anxiety from separateness, right? We're separate, and that's kind of like where the Bible talks about like how as soon as Adam and Eve discovered that, you know, they took the bite of the apple, they saw that they were separate, and they felt ashamed about, and then he blamed her for whatever, right? And so our goal as humanity is we're trying to like come back into oneness, right? And that's where a lot of the issues come from with like sadists and masochists, you know. It's like we're trying to come back into oneness. The masochist is trying to is feels like you know, like they feel connected by being hurt. The sadist feels connected by hurting someone else. And so and that's kind of just where you reminded me like the dictator is trying to control things because he wants to connect it all together. And so, you know, we're trying to come back into oneness, and just like trying to figure out the way that we should really go about it is kind of like the difficult part, right? Because, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And so, you know, we either do things out of fear or out of love, right? And but at some point we can cross into one or the other side because, you know, good and evil, sorry, it's kind of like they're two sides of the same coin. It's just it's the same thing, but it's different degrees of differences. So I don't really see myself as good or bad, you know. I think I have dark qualities inside me, and I see myself as dark and good, you know. Like I'm capable of evil, but I'm also capable of good, you know. I see my darkness and I accept it.
Yeah, definitely. And I have the same thing, right? It's just most people, they're not conscious of it, and they're afraid to like admit that as well, that they're capable of doing bad things. I think that's why we have so many people on the planet, and why there's 16 like MBTI types. Each one is supposed to keep everyone else in check, because each of us has a blind spot. And so like if one of us gets out of hand, it's up to the other 15 to like put them in their place.
Yeah, that's good. And just, you know, just the MBTI community, I just, oh man, it's pretty exciting being at the beginning of it. You know, just meeting so many cool people, and just in the future, we might be able to go into like a meeting or something where every MBTI YouTuber gets together, and we all have like a party or something. You know?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, like I think we're getting there, to be honest, and you know, it's pretty exciting as well. Sometimes there'll be conflicts in the yeah here and there, but for the most part, I think it's going to be exciting. Just, you know, being part of a community.
Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to it. That day comes, send me an invite. I'll be the first one to join.
Yeah, for sure. I'll you know, I'll keep watching your channel, see what's going on, But I think that's the end of the interview then, right?
All right. Sounds good to me. Gandhi, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure seeing you as well, brother. Brian, INFJ Brian.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
I'm gonna go grab lunch. It's 4 p.m. here. No, it's been an absolutely wonderful experience, and I hope the best for you and your YouTube channel and your audience as well.
Yeah, we'll keep talking for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Until next time, I'll see you next time.
Yep. See you next time.